Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and we play It Gets So Lonely Here by ebi-hime. That is correct, an absolutely fantastic game, to be fair. Which we are, I would say, close to ending, but also will probably be on the search for more secrets afterwards. And even further afterwards, we'll play the sort of second installment. Yeah. Anyway, hello and welcome. Let us continue. You feel disoriented when you wake, at long last, with the rising of the sun. You do not remember what you dreamt, but you do not think that your dreams were of a particularly pleasant nature. If they were, your heart would not be hammering so. Ill at ease, you glance around. You're lying in a narrow bed in an unremarkable room. One with dull beige walls and a warped wooden floor. I mean, looks pretty British to me, to be honest. Where exactly are you? This does not look like your dormitory in the conservatoire, not unless it has shrunk threefold overnight. Your brow froze as you attempt to recall the events of the night prior, until with a gasp it all clicks into place. You remember now. You were running through the woods trying to escape from... You shudder. You did not want to think of what it was you were trying to escape from. You presume that you must have given your hunter the slip, for because you are still in one piece, awake and alert enough to face the dawning of a new morning. You still have all of your limbs, and your facial features appear to be in the correct configuration. That is more than enough to getting along with. You look to the foot of your bed, then blink bemused at your discovery. You can see lying upon the sheets a garment. Two, actually, of black and white, folded in a neat white square. What could that be? A maid's outfit? If so, it would not be too surprising. You can now recall your visit with the princess the night prior, and her assertions that you must be her lady's maid. Well, if that is the role she wants you to assume, you have no qualms with it. It is far preferable to the other role you played last night, that of a startled quarry running from its pursuer. You press your fingers against the humble maid's attire. It feels surprisingly soft to the touch, not coarse like you expected. These clothes are rather fine. Did the princess put them there? If so, that is all the more reason to wear them. You are not churlish enough to deny her hospitality. You rise from your new bed, then undress yourself, unbuttoning the front of your plain white nightgown and setting it aside. This task accomplished, you then clad yourself in your new attire, black, white, and eminently sensible. You feel very far away from the girl that you once were. Your face might be the same as always, but something within you seems to have changed. You are no longer a student, not as long as you mean to reside within the princess's castle. You would far rather be her servant. Assured of your newfound identity, you retreat from your chamber, then make your way to your mistress's bedroom. The castle is a large one with many rooms and many hallways to connect them, and for a brief while you find yourself horrendously lost. You can't remember where the princess's bedroom is. You're beginning to feel rather disoriented when, to your relief, your eyes snuggle in a stairwell which looks rather familiar. Could this be the way? You ascend these steps, your footfalls cushioned by the plush carpet which lines them, then find your way down the very same hall you traversed the night prior. If your memory does not fail you, then the princess's bedroom ought to be... Yes, it is here. You rap on the door but receive nothing in the way of response. Is the princess still abed? You wonder briefly whether you oughtn't wait until she has risen of her own accord. But no! The sun is high in the sky, and it would seem a shame to let the princess sleep through the day. You ought instead to rouse her. That seems like the sort of duty a lady's maid should attend to. You enter the princess's bedroom and glance about. Her room looks much the same as you remember it from the night prior, for the ceiling seems even higher when viewed in the one morning's light. You can see now that there are fewer shadows to impede your view. How very opulent your young mistress's abode is. Her armoire is large and imposing, as is the grate in which you will be expected to keep a fire lit during the nights. The princess herself, meanwhile, is curled on her side beneath the sheets, looking rather less grandeur than her title would suggest. She is attired in the nightgown, adorned with frills, and her hair is split across her pillow like spilled gold. In her slender arms, meanwhile, held to her chest, is a doll, the very same one she was cosetting last night. You suppose this doll must be her favorite. Idly you wonder what the doll's name is, for you do not suppose it matters all that much. It is time to wake your mistress. You call out to the princess, but she is largely unresponsive. Her eyelashes are still sewn tightly shut and her lips pursed in slumber. You purse your lips too and sigh. Well, nobody ever said your job would be easy. True. Once again, you call to the princess, and this time she replies. Her response is not a favorable one, however. She sighs, then turns away from you, her doll clutched to her chest. Just give me a little longer. The princess sounds so enfeebled, but you do not take pity on her. If you have learned anything from the conservatoire, save for knowledge pertaining to the respiratory tracts of a fish, it is that one must be cruel to be kind. You do not think this adage was practiced with any great success in the conservatoire, but perhaps it will have more of an impact upon the princess. You tell her, once again, to wake up! More sternly this time. You will not let her sleep, for she has slept long enough already. It is very slovenly, really, to still be abed at such an hour. Defeated the princess sighs. Alright, I can see that I can twist you around my little finger. I'm up. You don't need to nag me. Once you've roused the princess from her bed, and you have put her doll to one side, you set upon her toilet. You aid the princess in the brushing of her hair, a chore to which she submits willingly, like a cat might allow its fur to be brushed. You allow yourself to ponder, as you run the bristles of the princess's brush through her hair, how wonderfully soft it feels against your skin. But a curious query from the princess. Are you alright, dear one? Brings you back to your senses. You were rather lost in thought there. Look, lively now. You wouldn't want the princess to catch wind of your salacious thoughts, would you? I thought that you had learned your lesson about that already. Suitably chastened, you finish with the princess's hair, then set the brush aside. Now that the princess's tresses have been taken care of, you must start on her attire. The princess remains seated upon the edge of her bed, looking up at your askance. She does not ask you to avert your eyes, and nor does she make any motion of divesting herself of her nightgown. It really does seem as though she expects you to undertake this task on your own. Is that all right? You ask the princess as much. You would not wish to impinge upon her modesty, but she only laughs. Yes, that is all right. It's what you're supposed to do if you're to be my lady's maid. I'm used to being dressed and undressed. I'm not a bit squeamish about it. She might not be squeamish about it, but you are. You've never seen a naked one before accepting yourself. Wow. I mean, that's surprising in a way. Even then, however, you have always dressed and undressed furtively, not wanting to examine your body for longer than is strictly necessary. You've never much liked the way that you look. You make a few more mumbled objections, but the princess sweeps them to one side easily. It's alright. I might be a princess, but we're both people underneath all of our clothes. I doubt you look much different. You are not sure about that. You have not yet seen the princess unadorned, but you already know to look at her face that you are different. She's much prettier than you are. But she's waiting. I do not wish to keep her any longer. You steady your nerves. Then you reach out with trembling hands and you begin to undo the buttons which run down the front of the princess's nightgown. You work as quickly as you are able, which given how badly your hands are shaking is not very. You fumble with a couple of the buttons, flinching as you do so. The princess, however, seems blissfully unaware of what it is exactly you're doing, or not doing, for your fingers have begun to seize up with the front of her nightgown. She's not even looking at you. Instead, her gaze is directed beyond your shoulder, to the windowsill and the sky beyond it. It isn't particularly sunny, but I don't think it's too cold outside. Going for a walk might not be a bad idea. What do you think, dear one? You think that you would like to finish undressing the princess as soon as possible, so you can make some progress on dressing her again. The sight of all of this exposed skin is bad for your heart. Fortunately, you are able to make quick work of the princess's nightgown, despite your initial mishaps, spurred on perhaps by your anxiety. You bid the princess to stand, which she does, and neatly she steps out of her nightgown, her motions once again as graceful and as fluid as a dancer's. This task completed, you search worriedly for the princess's red dress. Where is it? You cannot find it. Sweat begins to prickle on the back of your neck. Your palms, meanwhile, feel uncomfortably clammy. The moments pass awkwardly, uneasily as you search, the princess standing there all the while, as naked as the day she was born. Why do you not find her day dress before you stripped her of the night one? What a fool you are! The princess, noting your panic, giggles and says, "Are you looking for my dress?" "Yes," you reply, your face flushed. "That is what you were doing." "I thought so. I did wonder before you started undressing me why you did not ask where it was. Maybe it slipped your mind?" "It had slipped your mind, yes, due to shame." You were too busy trying not to fixate upon the princess's bird skin, to think about how best to conceal it. "My dress is in my armoire," the princess says, glancing over to the aforementioned piece of furniture. That armoire of hers is an intricately carved wooden structure, large enough, or so you estimate, to fit inside it enough dress to attire a whole ballroom's worth of princesses. "I'd like to wear the red one. It's my favorite. Would you be a dear and fetch it for me? I don't want to rush you, but it is rather cold in here, especially when I'm still naked." She raises a good point, okay? You turn away from the princess and make your way to her armoire. Once there, you open its wooden doors and peruse the clothes hanging within. It is just as you expected. Inside that wardrobe lies numerous dresses, all of them finely sewn and decorated with no shortage of ribbons, lace, and iridescent pearls. Damn. You find the princess's red dress soon enough, then head to her side. With your spoils in hand, you hurry to dress her, concealing once again the princess's pale skin beneath layers upon layers of soft red velvet. She is easier to look at now, you think, with her skin concealed. That might be the most nerve-wracking task you've ever had to accomplish, even more so than your perilous escape through the foggy forest. Why, it seems a small miracle you can still remember how to breathe. "Ah, that's much better. Thank you, dear one, for your help. You've not been here for a full day, but I wonder what I'd do without you." Shall you assure the princess that you did nothing, really nothing beyond your job? You did not do anything incredible. And in any case, being complimented by somebody so pretty is embarrassing. "Oh, don't be like that. I want to compliment you. Why shouldn't I, when you've been so helpful? It would be rude not to. And anyway, I think you're very pretty too." Oh my. Your face flushes from this more deeply than ever before. You ought to count yourself lucky. Really, what with all of this excessive blushing, that the princess does not seem to possess any vampiristic tendencies. Uh-oh. Why did you have to say that? I just noticed as well the fang. Whoops. You're making yourself quite the easy target.
Now,
The princess declares.
why don't we go for a walk? It's nice enough today. And I get so very bored of being coped up inside.
You can't think of any particular objections to raise to this remark, and you think that the princess might have a point. The castle, though expensive, is somewhat stifling. The walls are so very thick, they put you in mind of a crypt. With your acquiescence assured, the princess quits her chamber, her posture elegant and her gait unhurried. She seems not to walk as she navigates her way through the seemingly endless hallways of her home, but to float like a cloud. The hem of her dress swishes around her legs and her hair shifts like a shroud. The castle's courtyard, meanwhile, is sadly lacking in comparison to the princess's beauty. The courtyard is fenced in by the castle's walls, which look in the stark midday light, tall and imposing, faceless soldiers standing sentinel. For the sun is out, it is not particularly bright, and neither is it particularly warm. The courtyard itself, meanwhile, is in a state of disarray. Yeah, it looks like it. But also it's not terrible. The flower beds are in shambles, all overgrown with weeds. It is all rather depressing. The princess's castle might be grand in scale, but the courtyard itself is simple, hemmed in to a claustrophobic degree like a coffin. Dude, you are reminding us of something now. The princess, however, seems not to share your dolorous mood. She instead looks elated by her newfound surroundings, her smile unwavering. She gambols about like a lamb, flitting hither and thither as she examines the weed-infested flower beds. Her frolicking comes to a key, covered by a bush. One is full of bright and red roses.
Oh, how very pretty. Do you not think they are gorgeous, dear one?
The flowers are not too disappointing, you suppose? Ooh, that's a nice one. Even I can tell. They make for a fine spectacle, in fact, a welcome splash of color when contrasted with the dullness and the drabness which permeates the rest of the courtyard. For the other flowers in their beds are wilted, withered things, it is not so for those roses. They are a rich bright red, just like blood, their heads so full they seem almost to drop beneath the weight of their own engorged petals. They are pretty in a sense, but there is something unsettling about them too, something that is almost obscene. How did these roses become so very red? What has been sustaining them? Do you really want to know the answer? Me too. Could it be possible that these roses have been draining the life from the other flowers, which are trying to grow within its garden? It is a fanciful thought, but...
Oh, they are simply divine. Looking at these roses always lifts my spirits. They really are my most favorite flowers. I think we must pick some of them. Perhaps I can use them to decorate my bedchamber. It could use a bit of color.
The princess reaches out, so as to pluck one of the roses free from its resting place amongst its brethren. You watch her, your breath bated, anxious that this gesture might result in perforated flesh and bright red blood. But the princess is not as clumsy as you fear. Of course she is not. Who did you think she was? You? Rather than worrying about other people, it would be better served if you worried more about yourself. The princess holds her newly pilfered rose to her nose and inhales, her eyelids falling shut as the flower's sweet scent washes over her. A few moments of silence pass. Then the princess begins to toy with the petals which adorn the flower's crown.
Now let me see. I wonder what fate has in store for me. She loves me.
The princess plucks a petal from the flowers overburdened head.
She loves me not.
The princess continues with this childish incantation, all the while stripping her rose slowly and methodically of its petals. These petals flutter about the princess like bloody snow. The princess's voice meanwhile echoes throughout the courtyard, even more melodic than the strains of a pianola.
She loves me. She loves me not. She loves me. She loves me not.
The princess's fingers hover over the final petal which crowns her nearly denuded flower.
Oh,
Then with a triumphant smile she declares,
she loves me. I knew it.
You watch the princess amused by her girlish good cheer. The little mantra she's been reciting is one that you are familiar with. The girls at the conservatoire also used to engage in this little game. The younger ones, at least, who believed that the fairy-tale prince would whisk them away. You might have participated in the game yourself when you were a child yourself, but you never pinned your hopes and dreams on a handsome prince. Oh. Who did you pin your hopes on? Hopes and dreams on, then, girlie?
Could it have been a princess instead?
Your interest in princess has always been minimal. When it comes to the fair princesses for... well, that is a different matter altogether, isn't it? Pleasantly you ask the princess whose love it is she wishes to court. Equally makes the princess giggle.
Oh, dear one, who else would I be thinking of? Naturally, I was thinking of you.
Naturally. She says it so easily. As for you ought to have suspected as much, and indeed part of you did. You wanted to believe, yet part of you was afraid to. You did not want to be arrogant enough to assume that the princess might care for your affections. You begin to blush, your cheeks almost as red as the roses, while the princess laughs. She laughs and she laughs and she laughs, her voice clear and sweet like a nightingale's song. As for you are the funniest thing she has ever seen. You never liked being laughed at when you dwelt within the walls of the conservatoire, but it is different with her. You have not known her for all that long, but you are already entranced by her, and snart. She has you wrapped around her little finger.
Oh my.
The princess's laughter tapers into a series of giggles as, smiling, she wipes her eyes with the back of her hand.
It was quite amusing diversion, but I've just had an idea.
You look at the princess curiously. What idea?
You can't tell?
You cannot even begin to guess, yeah?
I just thought that all this watching must be boring you,
the princess says, tossing the rose-stripped stem carelessly to the ground.
You should give it a try, please do, it'll be fun.
The princess retrieves a second red rose from the bushes, deftly snapping it between her fingers and offers it to you.
I want to see what fate has in the store for you too.
You smile at the princess, touched by her enthusiasm. Indulging in childish games like this might not be the best use of your time, but the princess looks so determined you would not wish to hurt her. What could be the harm, really, in consenting? The only real casualty of this game will be one singular rose. The rose that the princess is holding towards you. You reach out, meaning to accept the princess' offering, but...
Oh no!
You are clumsy and you seize the stem of the rose with a touch too much strength. The head of the rose might be pretty, but there is more to a rose than its bright red flowers. Roses have thorns too, a fact you are now being painfully reminded of. I don't know, I somehow never managed to do that to myself. Pain flares through the fingers of yours and you gasp. You take a step back, the hem of your skirt swishing around your ankles. Your finger is stinging and so are your eyes. You ought to have been more careful. Why were you so stupid?
Oh, you poor dear, you're bleeding.
The princess exclaims, alarmed. Then she frowns.
This is all my fault. If I'd not suggested this silly game, this never would happen. Please, let me take care of you.
And how is she going to do that? Perhaps she means to take a handkerchief from her pocket, with which she might stanch your wound. Princesses tend to carry handkerchiefs around with them, don't they? Silken ones? How else would they give brave knights tokens of her gratitude? Once these aforementioned knights have successfully slain the dragons. Princesses can hardly dispense kisses as favors. It simply is not done. That is what you always thought, but...
Please hold still. This might sting a little bit.
This princess is anything but ordinary. Rather than take a handkerchief out of her pocket, she instead encloses her white slender fingers around your hand. Carefully as though she is handling a precious object, she raises your hand. Her eyes are fixed all the while on the beds of startlingly crimson blood which are oozing literally from your wound. She licks her lower lip. Then she dips her head. Ooh. Ooh. Hello there. That is nice indeed. She parts her mouth and with a soft sigh which borders on the sensuous, she slips your injured digit between her teeth. So much for princesses not dispensing kisses as tokens of appreciation. I don't think we could have seen that earlier. Her nails are like painted different colors. Black, no color, red. Anyway, this might not be a conventional kiss, but feels intimate regardless, almost startlingly so. The princess lips, which are as red as any rose, are enclosed around your index finger. You can feel the warmth of the princess's mouth about your skin, and the wetness of it. These sensations make your whole body quake. You do not expect this. Tremulously, in a voice which wavers, you ask the princess what it is she is doing.
Oh!
The princess glances up at you, her mouth still enclosed around your finger.
Didn't I tell you? I'm trying to stop the bleeding.
Yes. You gathered as much, but...
Is there a problem? I'm not making you uncomfortable, am I?
It is not you say that she's making you uncomfortable per se, but this is rather awkward. We did not expect it, that is all. And is she not worried that this is unhygienic?
Unhygienic?
The princess blinks. She's the very picture of innocence. Which is funny really, given your finger is still nestled against her tongue.
I know what you mean by that exactly. But I've heard that this is the best way to take care of the cats.
Kind of, yeah.
My nursemaid used to do this for me when I was a child. It's what you're supposed to do.
And you ask, your voice catching in your throat, did her nursemaid keep staunching her wounds with her mouth when she grew older?
Well, no, but my nursemaid was dismissed when I was 8 years old. That's a normal way of things. I had my ladies' maids to look after me then.
How very interesting. And did they ever clean her wounds like this?
No.
The princess smiling mischievously.
Because I'm not clumsy enough to cut myself, silly.
Now that was quite a sharp retort. You did not expect it. Your face turns even redder, if such thing is possible, for this might perhaps be to your benefit. With some luck, all of your blood will flow to your face, rather than to your finger, and your bleeding will stop. Has it stopped? Your injury was not a deep one. There should be no need for the prince to keep on suckling, but she still is. I mean, I know how she mentioned that she might be a vampire or whatever, but she didn't really mention she might be a vampire. But, you know, She mentioned vampires, but basically. Now there is blood, and she's like, nom nom nom. But she did not react to the sun. Wait, we are in Britain, kind of, so there is no sun. So maybe walking outside. Dude, if you think about it, maybe vampires can walk freely in the Britain, given they barely get any sun. Then again, who said we are in Britain in this game, right? Anywho, you're not accustomed to intimacy of this nature. It is making your heart flutter. If the princess knew what her mouth was doing to you... Oof, what a line. You are sure she would not be so very familiar. You feel quietly, crushingly confident she would scorn you for your feelings and deem them unnatural. It would not be the first time. At this point you should be used to rejection. It still stings though. It stings much more than any thorn on any rose ever could. The days pass, following your misadventures in the rose garden in a relaxed and hurried sort of manner. Your mad dash to the forest is beginning to feel like a distant memory, so much so you can scarcely recall the raw, naked fear you once felt as you fled for life. There is no running to be had while you are working for the princess. You would have nowhere else to run, and in any event there is no longer any reason to run. The shadows which once tormented you have, at long last, begun to recede. You can scarcely recall, as you lay down in your bed, the petty cruelties you were subjected to by your classmates at the conservatoire. They no longer matter. Your attention is focused, not upon yourself, but upon the princess. The more time you spend with her, the more you come to care for her. You have become quite besotted with her, but you are yet to realize it. Well, I never. How very ignorant can one girl be of her own feelings? The princess is not half so ignorant as you are, for, despite having spent her whole life within the palace's walls, the way her own feelings are not unknown to her, and during one stormy night she chooses to make them known to you. You are in the princess's chambers later, perhaps than you ought to be, later than is strictly appropriate. It is dark outside and there is little save the light of the moon to alleviate it, that and the fire which crackles in the grate. You have only just finished stoking that very fire, and now you rise. You look at the princess, who is lying in her bed, and you bid her a good night, as you have many nights past. With a neat curtsy you turn to leave, but the princess's plaintive voice gives you pause.
Wait, dear one, do not go, not just yet.
Perplexed you pause, then look back at the princess. For she's smiling, her expression is unusually wan. Is she alright?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's just nights like this, you know, which make me feel a little out of sorts.
And what, you ask, does she mean by that?
Only that it is very cold and very dark. And it is very windy besides. I'm afraid there will be a storm later. It was awfully cloudy earlier when we went out for our walk.
The princess is not mistaken about that. The sky, when the pair of you promenaded about the gardens earlier, was grey and steely, the wind bitingly cold. You can hear the wind rattling mournfully against the panes in the princess's bedchamber. The princess's castle is built of stone, and it is well fortified, but even with the fire, it is rather cold. You do not like to think of how much chillier, by comparison, it will be in your humble bedchamber, which is not fortunate enough to have its own fireplace.
It might sound childish, but I've always found it hard to sleep on stormy nights like this. They make me feel uncomfortable.
You look at the princess with no small degree of sympathy. No longer eclating her bright red dress, she looks oddly uncommonly vulnerable. Will she be alright? All alone in her oversized bed, in her high-ceiling bedchamber? You know it is silly of you to contemplate such a query. Why would she not be alright? There is nobody in the castle to hurt her, but still, you fret for her. As her lady's maid, it is your job to fret for her. You would never want your mistress to feel unhappy. You ask the princess what it is she would have you do, and the princess perks up at this, pleased perhaps that you are taking the initiative.
I wouldn't like to take up too much of your time when it is so very late. But would you mind staying with me a little while longer and reading to me? Provided you can, of course.
This is a fair enough question, but your pride bristles regardless. Hastily reassured the princess that yes, of course you could read. You were a poor student in many aspects at the conservatoire, but you had something of a gift when it came to the literary arts. Reading books is all you have ever been any good at.
Oh, I see. I suppose I should have known. You're so incredible. I sometimes wonder if there is anything you can do.
The princess. It should be not hehehe. Anyway, whatever. The princess's high praise makes you flush, awkwardly look away. Being able to read you reassure her is not such a great feat.
Perhaps it isn't. Where you hail from, but it is here. Very few of my old servants could read. And they certainly couldn't read the books that I like.
That piques your interest. Intrigued, you ask the princess what books exactly she likes. And she's like, I like eerie books.
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm fond of fairy tales, you see. Old ones from centuries past. I have a collection of them here,
the princess says, indicating a book on her bedside table, as thick as a mortuary slab.
The book is old for, and the bindings are weak. The pages brittle, the writing woefully old-fashioned. I didn't trust any of my past servants with that book, but I think you would do a good job breathing life into those old stories. Would you mind reading to me for just a brief while? Please, dear one, oh please.
The princess's request seems a simple one expressed sweetly, so much so you see no reason to refuse her. You take a seat beside the princess upon her luxurious bed, which sinks beneath your wave. Then you retrieve the leather-bound book which is resting upon her bedside table and spread it open. Oof, that's a small font as well. The pages of the book are very brittle, like the princess said, and the bindings of the books are loose. You can feel, in the heft of the book's manifold pages, the wave of the ages concealed within it. How old is this book? Perhaps it is as old as the castle in which it resides. It is, with a quiet voice, hesitant at first, that you begin to read to the princess, a tale of courtly love which culminates in a lavish wedding ceremony. All the while, as you read, the princess listens to you, enraptured, hanging, or so it seems, upon your every word. Once you reach the final phrase, embossed upon the pages of this aged tome,
and they lived happily ever after,
the princess sighs as though this tale has touched her very soul.
Would that there was a handsome prince to marry me,
she says somberly.
Or better yet, a beautiful princess. At this point I think I would even settle for a lowly, scullery maid. Wink, wink, wink.
You blush at this idle remark and mumble softly that this would not be proper. The storm outside is still squalling and you have never been one to raise your voice. You do not expect, therefore, that the princess will overhear you, but she does. She observes you, her head resting against her pillows, and says,
And what would be the problem with that, As my maid should my happiness come before any silly ideas of propriety.
Well, of course, you reply, but for a princess to marry a scullery maid.
Ah, you're still hung up about that,
the princess titters.
Don't pay it too much heed. I'm just talking to myself. As if anything like that would ever happen, when there is no priest around who would officiate me.
Okay. You think that there are greater issues with the princess's blood? Then a lack of priest, for she does present a good point. The castle is an empty one. Even if the princess were to find somebody that she loves, there would be nobody to make such a wedding official. I mean, that's, I guess, 21st century thinking, or just my own thinking, but if you want someone, if you love someone, you don't need to get, like, the government or the church involved. Just be together. That's how it's done. You cannot help but feel like you avoided a good deal of nuisance. But by the same token, do you not feel a touch disappointed? Well, never mind.
That was a nice story,
The princess says.
but I'm not slept yet, and it's still stormy outside. Won't you read me one more?
You would not mind, you reply, but it is getting late. You really ought to return to your own chamber.
Nah, I know. But can't you find it in your heart to read one story to me? Just one. You can choose a short one. I won't complain.
You have some doubts about that, but as before, you cannot resist the princess's demands. It is not, you think, because she's a princess, for that is, of course, part of it, but because she's, well, radiant. You would not, you think, as you turn to the next story recounted in this age compendium, want to upset her. You would rather cut out your own tongue. No. You read another story to the princess which is of a similar vein to the last. Impossible adventures culminating at the close in a happy marriage. This tale delights the princess just as much as the tale you read prior, and she begs for another, then another. One bedroom story soon becomes 5, and even then, when the candles which flicker on the princess's bedside are close to guttering out, the princess is not satisfied. Like a grasping, greedy child, she has never heard of moderation. When she wants something, she seeks to glut herself with it, her only request that of more. If she were less comely, perhaps her inability to adhere to the word no would be seen as a character defect. The princess is very comely, however, and so, when she makes her next request, you almost agree offhand, without considering the ramifications.
I think I could go to sleep now, but the storm is still raging. I feel lonely on my own in this big empty bed, so... I know!
The princess' eye lights up. Eyes light up, like the night sky in a thunderstorm.
Why don't you sleep with me?
You stare at the princess, your eyes white as goose eggs. Slowly you blink. Then just as slowly you bid her to repeat herself.
Didn't you hear me?
The princess giggles.
Oh, ha 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 ha. Maybe you've been so busy cleaning up after me, you've neglected to clean out your own ears. I said, dear one, would you like to sleep with me?
If that is the question she truly means to ask, that it is easy enough to answer. Of course you would like to sleep with her, it would be an honor. But would it really be alright for you to accept such an invitation? It must be a gross breach of protocol, surely, for a lowly domestic such as yourself to share a bed with a princess. You sit upon the princess's bedside fretting, while she observes with wide, beseeching eyes. She is waiting.
Well, what's the matter, dear one? Why do you tarry so? Could it be?
The princess slowly begins to tremble.
Don't you want to lie with me after all?
The sorrow present in the princess's voice and her face makes you feel awfully guilty. Hardly you console her. You tell her, in no uncertain terms, that if she truly wishes to partake in your company, then you have no qualms with it. Why would you?
Well then, don't just stand there dilly-dallyingly, come and join me, come!
And that is what you do, after returning briefly to your own chamber to change into your nightgown. Once dressed, you waste no time in returning to your impetuous princess' side. She is already lying in her glorious four-poster bed, waiting your return as for you are a knight-errant gone away to slay some wicked dragon. The princess giggles when she sees you. In your haste to change, you have made a hush of the buttons, and she bids you to come closer. Let
Let me fix that for you, silly.
Oh no, you say. I couldn't possibly let you do that. I'm but a servant after all. Should it not be your job to dress her?
Maybe so,
The princess says.
but I don't mind a bit of a role reversal. It makes things more fun. Oh, ha 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 ha.
Come on. Come on. Where is the Ojosama laughter? Come on. You try a few more refutations, but in vain. The princess summarily discards all of them. Quiet at the princess's mercy, she might be even more stubborn than you are. You capitulate to her demands. Will the princess unbutton the front of your nightdress, then rebutton them so the fabric of your plain gown is drawn shut. Satisfied with her handiwork, she has very elegant hands. The princess draws back and pats the mattress beside her.
Now come in. It must be horribly cold out there, but these sheets are warm.
Coyly, the princess smiles.
And so am I.
You feel warm yourself as you lie into the bed beside the princess. Your face is as red as the gown the princess so often wears, as red as the roses in the castle grounds, all the while your heart is fluttering. Does this princess know what an effect she's having on you? Surely she must. How could any woman be so blind?
There.
The princess explains once your body is lying beside hers.
That is much better. Do you feel cozy now, dear one?
You swallow and, with a shaky voice, you reassure her. Yes, you are cozy. You're quite cozy indeed.
Very good. Ah, the storm might be raging outdoors, but it can't get us here. I know when I'm with you, I'll be safe. It's strange, but...
The princess reaches out, then takes your hand in hers, twining your fingers together like a chain.
When I'm with you, I feel so very light. It's as for nothing in the world can hurt me. You make me feel safe, so I want to make you feel safe too. I'll take very, very good care of you, I promise.
You return her smile with one of your own, touched by her thoughtfulness, for something about her promise does make you wonder, should it not be your job to look after her, as a domestic?
In a way, the princess replies after a pause, but you've been taking good care of me already. Now, I need to return the favor. As a princess, I'm supposed to look after my vassals. It's all part of the job description. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
You were unaware that being a princess came with a job description. You thought the profession came with far fewer written responsibilities and far fewer forms to sign than, say, becoming a doctor, or an astrophysicist, or a mathematics professor. You tell the princess this sleepily and she laughs.
You do say some funny things, dear one. I think you must be tired. Rest your head. You've been working so hard. I think you deserve it.
Yes, you think. Only half conscious, you think you deserve it too. You've been working hard for a long time. You've been running for even longer. But now, at long last, you feel like you can let your fears go. Your eyelids begin to drop. Your body beleaguered by a sudden all-consuming fatigue. And in a quiet, understated sort of way, your consciousness is conveyed to Morpheus's kingdom. Your sleep is a deep one, despite the storm which rages outdoors. The wind is howling like a couple of wild cats, both locked in a vicious and bloodthirsty bout to death, but you do not hear it. Swallowed by the warm blankets about you, and soothed by the princess's presence, you are immune from all the ills of the world. When you are with the princess, you feel safe, secure, and... yes, you even feel loved. It is a pity, then, that these feelings do not last for very long. Huh? I knew it. I knew it. You know that something is wrong, catastrophically so, the moment you open your eyes. Welcome to the catacombs, or the dungeon, or whatever you want to call it. Your thoughts are hopelessly jumbled, but you are certain that when you fell asleep, it was in a bed, a nice warm bed, no less beneath soft, comfortable sheets. You're not lying in bed right now, fool. You are not, in fact, lying at all. Oh, snap. Are you kidding me? Oh, freak. God damn it. You're standing instead against a cold, hard wall made of stone. So, seems like she's getting all the mates like treatment like that, huh? Damn. The curve of your back is pressed against the wall so intimately you can feel its icy chill seeping through the fabric of her nightgown. Your feet, which are bare, are similarly pressed against cold, unfeeling stone. They feel so frigid you cannot help but tremble. You are trembling so much you can feel your teeth chattering together. They sound like castanets. The sound is almost jaunty as it echoes through your cell, for that is indeed where you are. The princess's bedchamber wherein you fell asleep is a thing now of the past. You are standing, instead, eerie eyes with a sharp start in a cell of some great underground dungeon. You swallow, and when you can taste something bitter on your tongue. Your stomach is beginning to churn with anxiety. You feel like you are going to be sick, a feeling which wells up inside you, to a staggering degree when you catch notice of a stench. You are not, you realize, the only one in the dungeon. I wonder if there is maybe someone, you know, still breathing around. I mean, we see only the like last remains of certain people of the past. But I'm curious if maybe on the other side or further along the wall. Anyway, there are others here, others attired in the simple black and white outfits of servants, which look much like the dress that you once wore. The others who are with you, however, in this expensive cell, manacled to the walls, are in no fit state to speak to you, nor to tell you of their plights. Okay. They are all unfeeling, unseeing, unbreathing. They're all dead. You cannot approach these servants to check their pulses, for you yourself are restrained. But even if you could, there would be no point. I wonder if we can manage if you could manage an escape from this. Maybe. There is no way any human could survive the wounds which have been inflicted upon these slammed bodies. Over there you see a woman slammed the front of her once white apron stained with blackish blood. There is a gaping wound in her stomach. Oh shit. Oh shit. So it doesn't end on just swinging on that. One through which her entrails have half escaped in some sort of burgundy goop which might once have been pale pink. There is another woman slammed beside the first of a smaller stature. She's skinnier. Maybe she's not a woman after all, but an adolescent like yourself. She might even be younger. The girl's age, or lack of it, did not preclude her attacker from inflicting upon her horrors, unless for her body is even more mutilated than the first. Her body is peppered with even more wheals and her face has been half smashed in. Only one eye remains, staring fixedly at the wall opposite her, in the ruined remains of what was once her skull. Over there you see a woman who is missing both her arms and her lower jaw. Ugh. Over there you see another who is missing her entire lower half. Oh, where have her legs gone? Nah, I thought something, but it would be inappropriate right now to say that they went on a walk. Whatever, you have no idea. The injuries inflicted upon those bodies are ghastly, but their advanced decay is enough to turn your stomach. You know not how long these caresses have been lying down here, but they have begun to putrefy. You fear a similar fate might befall you should you stay here. You need to escape. Faithfully you struggle against the manacles which bind you, but alas, it is no use. You cannot free yourself from the walls. Your restraints are much too strong, and you are much too weak. Panic rises up in your throat, cold and icy, while terror seizes your heart, this too glacial. It is obvious that escape is impossible, but still you squirm and writhe, like a rat caught in a firestorm. There is little point, however, to your struggles. You succeed in nothing, as you attempt to free yourself, save making the steel manacles dig into your abused wrist more sharply than ever. You gasp. That hurts. Well, you ought to have known that would not work. The very definition of insanity is, you know, performing a seduction over and over again, hoping for a different response. Me still doing videos, huh? In that sense, perhaps one could argue optimism is not so very different from insanity. I mean, to be fair, given the fact that I still make videos in general, which is basically a hobby for me. Probably insanity, yeah, of sorts. Now that is an interesting point to consider. Would you not agree? Yeah. No, evidently not. You are still trying to escape, you foolish girl, as if that will do you any good. The clangorous rattling of your steely restraints is rather startling to get on my nerves. You are making enough noise to raise the dead down there, in your dark, dingy cell, and all your screaming is hardly helping matters. I wish that you would kiss this internal rocket, but I know you will not. Nothing I say could ever get through to you. Not that you have ever listened to me in the first place. Perhaps you would listen to her for. Is she not your kind, considerate mistress? Look now, she has come all this way into the dark depths of the castle's cold, inhospitable dungeon to see you. Is that not kind of her?
Oh, dear one,
the princess trills, entering the dungeon with a series of light lilting steps.
it seems like we finally woken. How are you? Based on all the infernal racket you've been making, it would seem like you have no shortage of energy.
Balefully you turn your head, so as to meet the eyes of the princess. She is standing but a few paces away, beneath the roughly hewn stone arch which beats one entry, but rarely ever an exit to the dungeons. The dungeons are dull and drab, but the princess is wearing her favorite red dress. It is so bright and brilliant that for a few moments it hurts you to look at her. Once the red of the princess is out, it made you think of romance. Now it makes you think of violence.
You must forgive me for leaving you down here for so long. That was unfair of me. I did think of waiting here with you by your side until you walk back.
Once again the princess giggles. A light, airy giggle, which does not at all suit the situation in which you have found yourself.
A dungeon is not a fit place after all for a princess. It is horribly cold here, and so very drab, and there is nowhere nice and soft to lay my head. I'd have brought my pillows down from my bed, I suppose, and my blankets. But then they would have gotten dirty, and that would be a disaster. I need to be more careful. I won't have anybody left to clean up after my messes soon. Not when I've dispatched of you.
Ow. Once again the princess laughs. Her laughter is light and lilting, like the chiming of a silvery bell, but does little to alleviate your concern. If anything, it makes you feel even more alarmed. Did she say she meant to dispatch of you?
Yes, that's right. Could you not tell? I thought you might have figured that out already after waking up in a dungeon, silly.
Still smiling, the princess takes another step towards you. You would cringe away from her, but you cannot.
She really is cute, that our protagonist, to be fair.
You are completely powerless. Ooh, that's a good one, I guess. The princess reaches out and places a hand upon your cheek. Her skin is very white, and for her touch is cool. It is less so than the frigid air in the dungeon. For your body is aching, the princess's touch is gentle, and you find yourself leaning into it subconsciously. You wish she would keep holding you. You wish she would keep touching you. You luxuriate in her kindness, as best you can. But for the princess, caresses are tender. Your circumstances rather undermine them. How can you relax like this?
Ah, you're such a good girl,
The princess says in a cajoling sort of voice, as one might address a cat.
You've been so lovely to me while we've been together. I really couldn't ask for a better servant. I feel so I've been spoiled.
Why then, you ask her, is she doing this? Improbable for it sounds, she must be the one who chained you up. There is nobody else in the castle who could have committed such a feat. Everybody else is dead.
Why, yes. How very astute of you. I was the one who orchestrated all of this, naturally.
Naturally, she says, as for her betrayal is a matter of course. Naturally. Why, you ask, is this so natural to her? What does she mean to do with you?
Oh, only what I've done to all of my other servants. I have experience with this sort of thing, so please don't worry. I'll take good care of you.
And by take good care of, she means...
Naturally. I'll kill you.
There it is again, that word, which is grossly inappropriate given all which has transpired. Naturally. There is nothing natural about this. Do you know...
Do you not think so?
The princess examines him, her expression ponderous.
It's natural to me, even if it is natural to other people. This just feels right.
Imprisoning her servants in the dungeon and letting them die.
Yes, exactly. There is a bit more to it, to do it than that for.
Ah, of course there is.
I like you, dear one.
The princess says in a voice which sounds uncommonly serious.
You've been good to me, like I said, and kind. For that, I will be eternally appreciative. You've been so good to me, in fact, that simply being with you is not enough. Not anymore. Your company can no longer content me. I'm a greedy, selfish girl, you see.
The princess' smile widens into something sinister, her eyes flashing with a fiendish fervor you have never before witnessed.
And I don't want to feel you beside me, I want to feel you inside of me.
Oh. Oh shit. Wait a second, is she a cannibal? Oh freak, we went further with all of that. Damn. Okay. Well, of all the things your charming captain could have said, you did not expect that. The prince, perhaps noticing your confusion, begins to giggle. A giggle even lighter than meringue and just as airy. It is just as inoffensive.
I can see that you don't understand, dear one, but you are the only one. My lady's maid said that too.
Only the princess sighs, a beleaguered who is me sigh which makes her look even younger than the scant handful of years she truly possesses.
And the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that.
Dude, am I the only one who actually immediately, realized? Probably not. Probably all the people who played the game as well realized, but... I'm surprised none of the... well, mates, I guess, realized that.
I thought that you, at least, might be able to appreciate my point of view, but perhaps not. I don't think it should be too complicated to grasp, really. But maybe my way of looking at the world is a little bit unique. A little! Gee! You don't say! That's what my nurse always used to say, at least. When she still had the breath to speak, of course.
You look at the princess. Where else is there for you to look, really? Your eyes affixed to her face. She's still smiling, but there is something sinister about her smile. Perhaps in your anxious state, you're only imagining that there is something sinister about her smile. Wait, what? What? Something sinister. It is easy to see things which do not really exist when your surroundings are festooned in shadows. In actuality, however, the princess does not look any different to how she usually does. Neither is she acting any differently to the way she usually acts. She has not changed. It is only your perspective of her that has changed. Tremulously you ask the princess what she means, a question the princess is only too happy to answer.
It's simply really like I said. You were wondering, weren't you, why there weren't any guards or any servants in the castle when you first arrived here?
The question had crossed your mind, yes? You are sure that the princess said her ministers sent them away for? Was that a lie?
I was being wholly truthful, no. I thought you would be afraid of me if you knew what had actually happened, and I didn't want that. I wanted you to stay with me. My ministers didn't send anybody away because I don't have any ministers. I dispatched of them too.
Did she know? You suppose you ought not be surprised, but you still shudder regardless.
My ministers weren't very much fun, I'm afraid. They had a lot of ideas about what I should and shouldn't do after my parents died.
The princess stares at you, her eyes wide like black holes, empty, yawning abysses.
So I killed them. I killed my servants too. If I did a more thorough job with them than I did with my ministers. I did not care for my ministers, you see. They were all fusty old men, but they did love my servants. I loved my ladies' maids, and my undermaids, and my scullery maids, and my housekeeper, and my cooks, and my large retinue of retainers. They were like my family. They raised me in my parents' absence, and I adored them. They were so very dear to me that I had no real choice. I had to eat them. Does that follow?
Not logically, no. Why, you ask the princess. Your voice trembling. Would you eat the people that you love? It seems a poor way to repay them for their kindness.
Well, why wouldn't you eat the people that you love? I don't think there could be any greater way of showcasing one's gratitude unless you have any better ideas.
You weren't expecting the princess to turn the tables on you quiet like this, and dumbfounded, you stare at her. You know precious little about love yourself, so it is hard for you to form a convincing rebuttal, but you muster up a few token arguments. You tell the princess that eating people isn't very nice, and neither it is strictly legal. A better way to show gratitude to your servants would be with increased wages or increased holidays. Yeah? The princess listened to your arguments, her expression astute, like a student poised to take notes in a very important lecture. Once you are finished, however, her concentration fails her. Her shoulders begin to shake, but it is not with remorse for what she has done. Instead, she is laughing.
Oh, dear one. Oh, ho, 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 ho. That's very funny, but why should I care about the law? I'm a princess. One day I'll be the queen. I am the law.
That is a good point, but would eating people not turn her subjects against her?
What subjects? I'm no fool, you know, no matter how I might act, and I know what happens beyond the castle's walls. I know all about the plague. Once I might have had a populace to govern, but they're all gone now. I'm a princess, in nothing but name only, a monarch without any subjects.
Now that makes me wonder. If we approach the roots in different order, could our girl have the knowledge? Or not? For technically, given that we played the route, sort of route with the Gravekeeper, she would have the knowledge of the plague here, I guess. Well, I guess she doesn't really have that. It's not like a repeat for her, or I don't know, even if it is a repeat for her. Her past choice gets erased from her memory or something like that. Anyway.
Once I might have had a populace to govern, but they're all gone now. I'm a princess in nothing but name only. A monarch without any subjects. Don't you think that's sad? I know I do. It's so awfully lonely.
I mean, you could have her. Come on, you can say that, girl.
But you have me. Then with me, it's not a lonely monarchy.
Anyway, if she feels lonely, then why has she been systematically slaughtering all of her domestics? It doesn't make a lick of sense.
Perhaps not to you.
Gently, the princess caresses your cheek.
But I shouldn't judge you too harshly. As much as I like you, dear one, you are a commoner. Perhaps you can understand the intricacies of my thoughts.
Privately doubt that anybody would be able to understand the intricacies of the princess's thoughts process, largely because it is unreasonable. You do not say that, for instead, you ask her the only question you can think of to ask, with your weary throat which is sore from shouting. Shouting?
Why? Why, you ask?
The princess blinks.
It's because I do not want you to leave me, of course. Everybody leaves sooner or later, whether they've plucked their legends to me or not. That is simply the way of the world. People are fickle and inconstant. Even to me, a monarch. That is why I decided to eat my servants. I had no choice, you see. It was the only way to ensure that they would never leave me. When you think about it, they should be grateful that I would demean myself so, to consume their flesh and blood. I'm a magnanimous ruler, you see, and I treat all of my subjects equally. I love every single one of you. And actually I love you too. You've been awfully nice to me. And you are very pretty alongside it. If you were a plain ugly girl, perhaps I would not shower you with affection quite as intense as this, but you've captured my heart. I think you're lovely. So, I'll bestow upon you the highest honor I can conceive of. I want your body to mix with mine. Then we can stay together forever and ever.
The princess leans in. You can feel her soft silken hair brushing against your cheeks. Can feel too the warmth of her breath as it goes against your skin. It is cold in the dungeon, but the princess' close proximity is perverse, for this might sound something of a comfort. Her eyes are white and her lips are so red. Her smile, meanwhile, is so sweet.
I've been doing my best to fulfill the role that fate has dictated for me, but really...
The princess exhales. Her eyes, which are boring into yours, are like two dark tarns. Finally, you think you can see, in the alarming lack of light, the lack of anything, in the princess' gaze, some degree of humanity.
It gets so lonely here.
She said the title again! But this brief flicker of understanding, which passes between the pair of you, is soon cut short. The princess dips her head. She parts her lips, which are as red as the petals of a carnivorous flower. You feel the princess' breath against your neck. It is warm in the icy chill of the dungeons, and you shudder from it. For a few moments you think that this overture of the princess could be romantic in a way, but this too comes to a swift merciless close. The princess' mouth is on your neck. The prince's teeth, sharp as needles, are in your flesh. The princess is draining her blood. She's supping on it in great greedy gobbets, like a hungry animal, one who cannot truly comprehend the harm it is causing. Even as the princess sups from you, her arms twined around your waist, you find you cannot hate her. She's far too unworldly. You are sure, as your consciousness begins to fade, that the princess was being sincere when she spoke of her love for her past servants. This is simply the way the princess expresses this great love of hers, a love which is so very abundant, it borders upon the monstrous. It is a love you never thought that you would ever experience. This love of the princesses eclipses anything you've ever known before. It eclipses sanity. It eclipses reason. It eclipses all notions you might once have had of right or wrong. The princess, as you know full well, does not care about such concepts. You have always possessed a stubborn core nestled beneath your weak-willed exterior, but the princess is even stubborner than you are. In the face of her love, you have met your match. The princess draws back desperately. You gasp for air, but she does not give you any quarter. As before, she dips her head, her red lips redder still with your blood, then splits apart her jaw. Her teeth, which are impossibly inhumanly sharp, glint wickedly like knives. Then she tears out your throat. Ah. The front of your nightgown was white once. Now it is red. There is so much blood you can smell it when you inhale, sharper than metal. It is so potent, you can taste it on your tongue. You try to inhale, but this task proves to be beyond you. What with the twin perforations that have ruptured your skin. Your attempted breaths, when they escape your lips, sound like sad sorry wheezes. Your whole body meanwhile feels as though it is on fire. I feel like by now she would be out, cold basically. You make for quite the sorry sight indeed. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. I mean, given that the throat was torn out of her. I mean, I feel like that would already cause a death, right? If not, then holy crap, that's some pain she's in for. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. No, it's not. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. Oh, it's the same line again. You reap what you sow, and in your case you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do, girl? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? I mean, I guess we go the usual option, right? Accept the fate. What? Really? You're fine with being eaten alive in a dark, dingy dungeon and being left to rot? That does not sound like a very satisfying ending to this particular narrative. Ah, but if that is what you want, then so be it. I don't mind indulging you. That is what I've always done, after all, from the moment we first met. I've dedicated myself tirelessly to answering your wishes, and this is no different. Do not be so foolish to think, for that you can escape me, even if your life's blood has mingled with that of the princesses. I'm not going to relinquish my hold upon you that easily. I did pledge, after all, to remain by your side, come what will, fire or flood. I will never leave you. You will never be lonely again. Achievement unlocked. I love that consumes. She... That's nuts. So now if I load and say fight, that is a good answer. I must admit, I like it. It is impressive how very defiant you can be, even in a situation as discomforting as this. Now try to not cry. Keep your chin up, this is but a minor setback in your story. Like all fair maidens, you are deserving of your own happy ending. You need only the strength to try and seek it out. Why don't we give this another go? Just try not to ensure the hearts of any more monarchs, particularly those with unusual appetites. You are destined for far higher purposes than being an entry, and there are vastly more enjoyable ways to be eaten in this world. Wink wink. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Oh. And I can't save now. Damn it. I wish I could. Give up. What is the never give up? So we've come back here, have you? It does not come as much of a surprise. For presented with 3 potential paths, it is not as though traversing any of them would have any particular impact upon your ultimate fate. In the end, you were always destined to return here. Did you really think you had a choice? How hopelessly naive of you. I thought that you were smarter than that. Your breath, which once escaped your lips in sharp, ragged gasps, is now on the verge of petering out altogether. Your lungs feel deflated, as though they have been punctured. Your blood is rushing through your temples in a heady, overwhelming surge. Your stomach, meanwhile, has twisted itself up into knots. Your body feels heavy, your legs in particular. They no longer wish to obey you. You take a stumbling step forwards and your foot gets caught in a tree rod. You are certain that you passed this route once already and that you sidestepped it. But perhaps your memory is beginning to fail you, just like the rest of your body. You gasp, surprised, and pitch forwards, dull and senseless like a sack full of potatoes. Your arm hits the ground with a crack, one which makes you cry out in pain. Tears begin to bed on your eyes, wet and salty, tears which you cannot stymie. You are not as resilient as the gravedigger, not as carefree as the princess. If you lived underwater like the mermaid, then nobody, at the very least, would be able to tell that you are crying, but you do not, and I can. Believe me, I can. Your arm arches gratefully, but at least you can still feel it. Your poor feet, meanwhile, have gone quite numb. You would try to stand, had you the energy, but you know, as you sit there, dazed, that this would be a futile effort. You cannot stand, not any longer. It hurts so much, too much. You really have been through a lot tonight, haven't you? I fear I have not been very kind to you. But you ought to be accustomed to hardship. Why, then, are you crying? You always have been a crybaby. That is why they teased you so much. It is because they knew they would be guaranteed a reaction. You are very predictable. Even now, after trying to borrow my power for your own purposes, you have not changed at all. As you sit there, sobbing, you hear, or you think you can hear, footsteps approaching you. There, to your right, is the snapping of a twig. To your left, the telltale rustle of leaves. Your every sense feels razor sharp, honed to a knife's point by anxiety. You are so panicked, you feel as though you are going to be sick. If you want to vomit, then why not? There is no shame in it. There is nobody there to judge you. Nobody but me. I've always been here, you know. I will always be here, no matter how fast you try to run or how far. Did you really think you could escape me? Poor, sweet child. Poor little fool. I did tell you, did I not? A contract with a witch is What? Where did that come from? Damn, a contract with a witch is binding? Where did the witch come from? Where did the contract... What? Okay. No amount of physical distance between the both of us could ever sever it. I told you I would never let you be lonely. And I meant it. But I have had rather enough of these little games. It is time for me to collect my collateral. Oh, the witch is freaking attractive as well. I like her. A soft gasp escapes your throat as you feel arms wind their way about your back. Naturally, you know whose arms they are. They are mine. I've been watching you all night. Oh. Now you think about it, this is completely not fitting voice. But this is the first time I've reached out to you in so direct a manner. Did you not expect me to be so forward? I can hear your heart fluttering in your chest. It is beating very quickly, like a startled rabbit's. Your breaths are short and sharp. It is a cold night, and though I'm holding you, you are still shaking. I wish you would not tremble so. Everybody fears the unknown, but we are not strangers. We've spoken before, have we not? When you first called me forth from the Ether, using that book you found in the library. Wow. You were desperate enough then to turn to the occult for help. What? You pleaded with me to use my magic for your behalf. You begged me. You implored and you entreated, and you wheedled and you whined, and though I had some reservations, you forced my hand. I had no choice, not in the face of your desperation. You know what, now that I think about it. The one that I was technically kind of supposed to play. Was it made for... okay, copy. H.io. The end of an obsession. Okay, Yuri Game Jam. Got it. Oh, Yuri Game Jam. Okay. What about... It gets so lonely here. Was it also made for a jam? Doesn't look like it. No, it was Yandere Game Jam. Okay. For a second I thought maybe it was made for Spooky Jam. Again, because of the witchcraft and so on. Anyway, you did not want to be lonely anymore. You want to have a friend, somebody who would always be there for you, no matter what. You wanted somebody to love you. Is that not what you demanded of me? Is that not what I have given you? You might think me wicked, but I think you are being awfully cruel yourself to run from me after I made all of your wishes come true. I did not think, you know, about punishing you for running away from me. I thought of poking out your eyes so that you might never see anybody other than me. I thought of cutting off your long, lovely hair so that nobody might even think you beautiful but me. I thought of breaking your legs so that you might never be able to escape from me. I turned all of those intriguing ideas over in my mind, but I am merciful witch. For you hurt me, I did not wish to hurt you. You asked, after all, that I love you, and that is what I did. I have drowned you with my love. I have buried you beneath my love. I have swallowed you with my love. You have always been a sad, lonely girl, one who has been starved of affection. Nobody has ever cared for you. Your life has been a barren, empty wasteland, one devoid of any fonder feelings. That is why I had to drown you, you see. That is why I had to bury you. It is why I had to swallow you. In the end, I was doing you a favor. I was doing it all for you. In that sense, you are very lucky. Do you know that? There are few people in the world who have had the privilege of being loved to the brink of insanity quite this many times in one night. There are few people in the world who can claim to have been loved by a witch. Oh, that would be nice. As long as she is not the old hag type. Sign me up. You experience so much love it ought to have slacked even your unquenchable thirst. You know now what it feels like to be adored. I have more than upheld my end of the bargain. Now I think it is time that you do the same. From this night forth, you and I will always be together. Then I should be able to love you endlessly. You will never be lonely again. Okay. Wait, so basically turns out she didn't escape from... What was it called? That freaking... I don't remember what it was called. Repair 2, whatever. I thought she escaped from somewhat like a school for girls or... Oh. Not unlocked over here? What? What? How is it not unlocked? Unless there is nothing here. Gallery. Music. Okay. Notes. Alright. Hello everyone. This is Ebi. Thank you for taking time to read. It gets so long here. I hope it was an enjoyable experience. I usually leave a few notes in my VNs to explain what inspired me, so I guess I'll do that now. The big inspiration behind It Gets So Lonely Here was the two-part novel series The Orphan's Tales by Catherine Valenti. The Orphan's Tales are an interesting couple of novels which take a lot of cues from fairy tales and folklore across the world. These stories contain dragons, witches, werewolves, genies, mermaids, but they aren't told in a linear fashion. The Orphan's Tales itself is pulling a lot in terms of structure from 1001 Nights because the story is broken up into a lot of smaller bite-sized stories which are set in framing narrative. These bite-sized stories seem unrelated at first, but eventually converge by the end of the second novel, and it's revealed that the framing narrative itself is steeped in as much magic as the story is the narrative. Well, there are numerous narrators were spinning. Okay. It's a very interesting series, which is... You can scroll here, by the way. It is a very interesting series which is told in a very non-conventional manner. Built of stories running into other stories, seemingly jumping between stories and side characters from previous tales, offering their perspective and assuming narrative roles in future tales. The narrative can be a bit difficult to keep track of, in the beginning because it hops around a lot between a lot of different characters who are all embarking upon fantastical adventures of their own. But seeing all these seemingly disparate threads merge was very satisfying. I've honestly not read a book like that before. It took a lot of well-known fairy tales and some lesser-known fairy tales and did something unique with them. It's all very avant-garde. In any case, I like the Orphan's Tales enough that I wanted to write something similar. I thought it would be fun to craft a story of my own, comprised of multiple different fairy tales, all wrapped up in a framing narrative. Huh. I turned this idea over in my head for about 2 or 3 years, but didn't have any concrete ideas, so I wound up shelving it. It wasn't until the 2023 Yandere Game Jam that I decided to revisit the idea. I was doing a bit of brainstorming, jotting down random concepts for a story which could work, and decided I wanted to write a Yandere story with a fairy tale vibe. Of course. I had a few disparate ideas, but nothing which felt substantial enough to carry a whole narrative. I was also torn between writing the princess story or the gravedigger story as standalone narratives. Makes sense. I liked both of them conceptually, but they seemed a bit too simple. Maybe. Then it struck me, why not combine these two ideas, like Catherine Valenti did in the Orphan's Tales, and build narrative around them. I thought this would be a fun project to work on, and it would be especially suitable for the visual novel, capital letters. Medium. The Orphan's Tales is a novel, so the reader doesn't have any say in what fairy tales they visit as they read through the text. Well, unless said reader decides to flip about to random pages like a fighting fantasy novel, which maybe wouldn't be a bad way to experience a book which was written in a deliberately disjointed way. So the reader gets pulled through a lot of seemingly unrelated stories at random until things start to come together. I feel like that might be done basically in a way that, okay, from this point forward, go to page this, skip this part, you will eventually return here. Something like that. Visual novels are known for having roots, however, even the most generic Bisho jokes. People expect multiple stories when reading VNs. Not necessarily. Like, you know, kinetic novels, also visual novels. They don't have roots. Wouldn't say I expect roots. And it's a fairly common phenomenon for characters to get a spotlight in their own root, but be sidelined or in some extreme cases disappear from the narrative altogether in other characters' roots. Yes, that does happen. By writing this fairy tale pastiche as a visual novel, capital letters, I figured it would feel more natural to section these short stories I had into their own self-contained roots. Which only converge once you've read all of them. Yeah. Oh yeah! There was no option to give up before. Yeah. Anyway, by writing this fairy tale pastiche as a visual novel, I figured it would be filled. Oh, I read that one. I was pretty excited about the idea, but I only had 2 stories to hand, the princess story and the gravedigger story. I thought having only 2 roots would feel rather meager, so I decided to add a third root or a third story into the mix, that of the mermaids. The gravedigger story and the princess story were both pulled from ideas I'd been turning over for a while already. I might revisit the princess story at some point and make a longer Yuri VN with a similar premise someday. But the mermaid story was one I thought up mostly to make up numbers for this project. I mean, it was still good. As such, I think the mermaid story feels a little less inspired than the gravediggers and the princess, and also features the least dialogue between the main character and her so-called love interest. Is that so? I'm not sure. Maybe. But also, all in all, it made sense, because it showed the mermaids as we know them. They kind of get your attention with the song, and then basically, technically she would snatch a person without asking and so on. But yeah, I think the mermaid's route is the weakest story narratively speaking, but I do like the aesthetics of her story a lot. Same? I don't know if it's the weakest or whatever. I mean, I think it was still good. I think her character design is very pretty, yes, and I think she would up with the most appealing character theme song. I don't know. Plus, since I'd committed to the fairy tale team, I really did want to write a love interest who wasn't a human. I thought it'd be a bit boring to have fairy tale themed VN where all three roots deal with human girls, so the mermaid's existence brings a bit more magic into the story. I mean, physically humans, the other two, but mentally, can you say that? You know, I designed these three characters' roots to be relatively short on purpose. Firstly, because this VN was created for a game jam, I didn't want to overburden myself with writing 3 long, complex roots in a month, and secondly, because I wanted the story to feel vague, unfixed, and ethereal. I mean, it's still lengthy enough, to be quite honest. I don't know if there would be a need to go beyond that. It was this desire which resulted in the main character not having any direct dialogue. Yeah. The details of her past being so sparse and fragmented, and it's also why none of the characters have names. That's true. I wanted the characters to feel more like fairy tale archetypes rather than, well, characters, which is why they get referred to by the roles in the story as opposed to names. The princess remains the princess, the mermaid, the gravedigger is, you know. Well, the gravediggers aren't common character archetypes in the fairy tales at all, are they? At least I don't think I've encountered any who had prominent roles. I mean, I feel like they are basically digging graves. That's about it. Technically, they are someone who people... Yeah, that's one thing I believe. Technically, they are someone who people do not approach in general. Yeah, and I would say people are keeping their distance from. Yeah, I feel like gravediggers give that supposedly creepy vibe, which they aren't really. Which, I guess she's a bit of an outlier, when her character and her design were mostly inspired by Grey from Lord Elmeloy's case files. But she's so cute, so it's okay, right? Right? Damn it! Really? You based it on Grey? I mean, great design, Grey. I totally said that a completely different character looked similar. Yeah. Yeah. Grey was a cutie pie indeed. Ahem. Also, Lord Elmeloy was good. I also decided to write this story in second person, which is something I've only done once before, and sparingly, in Once on a Windswept Night. Oh, we played this. I absolutely played it. Right? I'm pretty sure I did. I think it's been a while. I haven't? Once on a Windswept Night. I haven't! What? Why do I recognize the title then? Is it on Steam or is it on itch? Once on a... Oh no, I have... Wait, have I or have I not? No, I haven't. I have not played it. I have it in my library, so... Jesus Christ, I have so many games. We'll play it eventually, that's for sure. Hopefully. I want to play all those games, man! I have a problem. So many games, so little time. Gee. I would love to cover literally all the games I have, not gonna lie. Probably never gonna happen for... I don't write in second person very much, since it's an unusual method of storytelling in general, but I thought it would add to the overall atmosphere of the story. Having a faceless narrator addresses you as you feels a bit more unsettling, I think, than first or third person narration, which are more standard. That's true. But I suppose by the end of the story, the narrator isn't so faceless after all. That's true. I did not expect a witch to appear, that's for sure. Not in the slightest. Since the narrator is a character in her own right and she does occasionally offer her own thoughts and remarks upon the events in the story, would it make the narration first person instead? I wonder. The use of second person narration was also inspired in part by Slay the Princess by ebi-hime. I do believe I've seen a lot of that visual novel, to be honest, being recommended on Steam as well. What a nice price in Poland. 69. Overwhelmingly positive. Holy crap. 97% out of over 16,000 reviews. That's how you know, basically, a game, like, has nailed it, basically. And not to mention it's a visual novel. It's definitely a hit, basically. Basically, I will repeat basically a few more times, basically. Yeah. Which is also a visual novel with rather unusual presentation, which I enjoyed a lot. I have not played it. I don't. Actually, that's the one I don't have yet. It's on my wishlist. I also pulled some inspiration from Optimal Conditions for a Sacrifice by Mosinasi. Recognize Mosinasi name? I don't recognize Optimal Conditions for Sacrifice, which has a looping narrative like the one present in It Gets So Lonely here, a lot of meta elements and very beautiful artwork. Oh, Mosinasi actually agreed to work with me on the art for It Gets So Lonely here, which made me even more excited about this project. I think her art is gorgeous and it really captures the fairy tale aesthetic I was going for. I'm very honored she agreed to work with me. I could probably say more things about the story, but that's enough for now. Once again, I hope you enjoyed your time spent with. For if you check the art gallery, isn't there a picture which is still locked? Yes, there is. I checked already. I wonder why that could be. Maybe you should go through the story again. You might find something that will surprise you. Abby. Credits. Abby, Mosinasi. Background, photographs. Elevator. Is there a Polish translation? No, there isn't. Not like that would matter to me, to be honest. I don't even play games in Polish language, not gonna lie. I actually don't like game being in Polish. Yeah, anyhow, given the fact that, yes, there was a hint, oh, maybe you should play again, which I already in a way knew, after someone hinted that, actually hinted that there is more to it and so on, but yeah, I checked and oh, you are supposed to actually play more times. Okay. So, we'll do that in the next episode. Yeah, for today that will be it. And in the next episode we'll get to it. And we'll approach it the usual way. I'm not going to be reading everything, like from 0 to 100%. I assume that if we start again, we'll basically get to read the same stuff. Mostly. So I'm gonna press the control button, we'll skim through, and we'll be reading the stuff we haven't read. Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. But yeah, for today, that's it. It Gets So Lonely here. Like, the base story complete. And we'll see what more secrets this gem of a VN hides. Hope you enjoyed. Consider liking the video, subscribing and so on. Go to Steam and download every game of ebi-hime, cause there is a lot. And have a wonderful day. I think I'm gonna take a nap now. Yeah. Alright, I'm out. Bye bye.